Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to another edition of Thursday night Parashat Shavua class. We are studying tonight Parashat Beha'alotecha. Of course, Eretz Yisrael is still 1 week ahead of us. They are reading Parashat Shelach, but we are being noheg b'makom. We are reading Beha'alotecha, so that's what we're doing. That's what we're going to discuss today. Parashat Beha'alotecha, we learn about the mitzvah of Pesach Sheni. One of the mitzvot in this parasha is Pesach Sheni. And we actually read about Pesach Sheni in one of the days of Chol HaMoed on Pesach. Pesach Sheni was designated for a person who was either tameh la nefesh, he was impure as a result of coming in contact with a dead body or being in a room with a dead body, ritually impure, or he was derech rechoka, he was far away from the Beit HaMikdash at the time to bring the Korban Pesach in the original time. And those situations prevented him from bringing the Korban Pesach on the 14th of Nisan. So he was given a second opportunity 1 month later, on the 14th of Iyar, to fulfill his obligation. Now, this mitzvah is actually a very big chidush in and of itself, because it was not given to Bnei Israel on Har Sinai. At the 14th, right? This was all the other mitzvot were given to Bnei Israel Har Sinai, with the exception of a few other ones. But this mitzvah was only given to the Jewish people after some tameh individuals who had been exposed to a corpse, basically, went to Moshe Rabbeinu in tears and poured out their hearts and lamented the fact that they couldn't perform this mitzvah of Korban Pesach on the account of their own tumah. And that's what the Torah tells us in this week's parasha. They were men who were made impure by a human corpse. And they couldn't make the Pesach on that day. So they went to Moshe and Aaron. And they said to them, we are impure through a human corpse. Why should we lose out? By not offering Hashem's korban at its appropriate time. B'toch Bnei Yisrael. Vayomer Aleim Moshe Rabbeinu said back, replied, Imdu ve'shme'a ma yitzaveh Hashem lachem. Stand here, and I will hear what Hashem is going to command you. So Rashi here looks at the wording of Imdu ve'shme'a. Stand here, and I will tell you what Hashem is going to say. It was like a student committed to a student who was so sure that he was going to get a response from his teacher. The fortunate is Moshe Rabbeinu, Yelud Isha. Fortunate is the man born to a woman who is assured in such a manner. Imagine you are at the level where you can say, all right, just give me a few minutes. Let me talk to God. He's going to get back to me, and I'll let you know what he says. Whenever he wished, he was able to speak with the Shekhinah. And that's exactly what happened, exactly how he anticipated. He stood there at that very moment. He heard the mitzvah pertaining to Pesach Sheni, directly from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. This is what Hashem says: Ish ki yetameh nefesh o b'derech rechoka lachem. If any man becomes impure through a corpse, or he is on a distant road, o ledorotechem, whether you lachem or ledorotechem, for you or for your generations, ve'asa Pesach LaHashem. You will do a Pesach also when b'chodesh Hasheni b'arba'asar, on the second month, on the 14th. Ben arbaim yasu oto al matzot mrorim yochelu. You're going to do it in the afternoon, and you're going to eat it with matzot and bitter herbs. And Rashi says that this parasha was fit to be said by Moshe Rabbeinu, like the rest of the entire Torah. However, these people were privileged that it should be said by them, for we bring about that which is worthy through the person who is worthy. That's what Rashi says. And we're going to expand on this idea first. The first thing I want to talk about is this concept of Imdu ve'eshme'a ma yitzaveh Hashem lachem. Moshe Rabbeinu's statement to the men who complained, who said, stand here and I will let you know what Hashem commands you to do. In this situation, Moshe Rabbeinu didn't wait for God to call on him so that Moshe can say what the problem is, which is what normally happens. So this is brought up by some of the Aharonim. And I quote the piece. We have a little bit of a wonderment with Moshe Rabbeinu's behavior here. Moshe Rabbeinu was extremely humble. Like the pasuk says, Moshe Rabbeinu was extremely humble. She'amar b'lashon hazeh imdu ve'eshma. And all of a sudden, Moshe Rabbeinu was acting opposite of humility and say, hey, stand here, you're going to see, God's going to come, he's going to give me the answer. It gives that impression of haughtiness that, yeah, God speaks to me whenever I want. And the Midrash writes, it's very known that Moshe Rabbeinu did not enter to speak to God until God called to him. At the beginning of the first pasuk of Parashat Vayikra, God called to Moshe, and then he started speaking to him. That's generally the way it works. So for Moshe Rabbeinu to stand up and say, wait over here, God's going to tell me the answer, is a little bit showing signs of arrogance, and not typical of Moshe Rabbeinu in his midah of anava. So the Mefarshim explain that Moshe Rabbeinu was confident that Hashem would reveal himself to him, not because out of his own merit, but rather in the merit of the broken-hearted individuals who came to him to complain, who were denied the opportunity for the Korban Pesach. And they yearned to fulfill this mitzvah. It says, Achainyan kachu, says the Shinover Rebbe, Achainyan kachu, da'anashim atemeim b'Pesach harishon, ba'u b'marat nafsham lifnei Moshe. The people who were impure during the time of the first Korban Pesach, they came with a bitter soul. They came with a broken heart. Why should we be left out? Why should we be missing this glorious opportunity to perform a mitzvah? Moshe saw how down they were, how upset they were, that they were missing the opportunity to do that. Moshe Rabbeinu guaranteed, he knew it. He was so sure of himself that Hashem was going to come and he was going to give that mitzvah on their zechut. Kedichtiv, as the pasuk says in Tehillim, lev nishbar v'nitke Elokim lo tivzeh. Right, a broken and contrite heart, Hashem, you will not despise. And this is what Moshe Rabbeinu said. You stand here, you wait. What Kadosh Baruch Hu is going to command you, lachem daika, specifically for you, because of you, because of you, for sure, that the dibur is going to come. Beautiful, wonderful hidush here by the Shinover Rebbe. We have support in this action that Rabbeinu Bechaye. Rabbeinu Bechaye quotes Rashi, and he says, he quotes a Rashi we mentioned earlier that praiseworthy is Moshe Rabbeinu, or this person born from a woman who's able to talk to HaKadosh Baruch Hu whenever he wants. He says, it should have said, stand over here and wait to see what God's going to tell me. But that's not what the pasuk says. Is what Hashem is going to command you. It's not what's going to be said to me, but it's what's going to be done to you. Moshe Rabbeinu did not rely on his own personal merit, but rather on their merit. That's why he said, "Ma'itzaveh Hashem lachem." He was certain that he was going to be answered immediately in the merit of their lev nishbar, of their broken heart and yearning, rather than his own merit. And that's why it says, "Imdu ve'eshme'ah ma'itzaveh Hashem lachem." Stand here. It could have just said, "I will just hear what Hashem is going to command you." No, he wanted them to maintain that feeling, that broken-hearted state, that yearning to fulfill the Torah mitzvot, and he felt sure at that moment that God was going to answer them on the spot. Says the Chidushei Harim, a beautiful pirush, and he says it's brought down by his grandson, and he says that the mitzvah of Pesach Sheni only became a reality in heavenly realm at the time that in the merit of those individuals, anguish and sorrow. That's the reason why. And in that merit, HaKadosh Baruch Hu introduced a new mitzvah. Says the Chidushei Harim. A new mitzvah was the beginning, the opportunity to offer a korban in place of the original one. So the question remains, and this is something where we're going to expand on, is let's expand on this. What exactly took place over here? Who were the people that were that actually went to Moshe to complain, and why them specifically? So this is brought down Gemara Masechet Sukkah. Gemara Masechet Sukkah of Kaf Amud Aleph. There, Rabbi Akiva reveals the identity of the people. He quotes a pasuk: "Vayya anashim hayu temeim le'nefesh adam." There were men that were impure. Otam anashim mi hayu. Who were they? Rabbi Akiva omer Mishael ve'el Tzafan hayu. They were Mishael and El Tzafan. These were two nephews of Moshe Rabbeinu, two cousins of Moshe Rabbeinu. Shehayu oskim benadav va'avihu. They were taking care of the bodies plural of Nadav and Avihu after they died, the two sons of Aharon. Now, the story of Nadav and Avihu is recorded in Parashat Shemini, and the Torah tells us, "Vaychu bnei Aaron Nadav Avihu ish machtato," that Nadav and Avihu took a fire pan, machta, vayitenu b'ahen esh, and they put a fire in them, vayasimu aleh ketoret, and they put ketoret on it, vayakrivu lifnei Hashem esh zara, and they brought a alien fire, ashelot tziva otam, which He did not command them to do, but tetzeh esh milifnei Hashem, a fire came out from God, vatochal otam vayamutu lifnei Hashem. It consumed them, and they died before Hashem. So, what was the reason why they died? In essence, they performed a ritual that they were not commanded to perform. The Gemara in Masechet Yoma Daf Nun Gimel Amud Aleph says, Rabbi Eliezer Omer, Lo metu bnei Aharon, ela shehoru halacha bifnei Moshe. That the children of Aaron died only because they rendered a legal decision, a halacha, in front of Moshe, their teacher. So, my darush, the Gemara says, what did they expound? The Torah says, "V'natenu bnei Aaron hakohen esh al hamizbeach." The Torah says that the sons of Aaron shall place a fire on the mizbeach, and this fire is supposed to go up. Af al pisha esh yoredet min hashamayim, even though that the fire can come down from heaven miraculously. Mitzvah le'avi min ha'edyot. Nadav and Avihu said that we can bring this fire from ordinary sources. Min ha'edyot. Take a match, whatever it is, go bring a fire from somewhere, and you can use it here on the Mizbeach. And Rashi says, amazing, Rashi says, even though Nadav and Avihu were right with what they said, that you could bring a fire from Min ha'edyot, from an ordinary source, but because of that, they were still punished because they didn't obtain permission for it. And they didn't go to Moshe to ensure that it was right, and they did on their own. And then they were punished midah keneged midah, and a fire came and consumed them. So now we know Nadav and Avihu were very holy individuals. Hakadosh Baruch Hu chose them, I would say, as the public korban, in order to teach Bnei Yisrael a lesson, not to perform any act on their own without getting authorization from the rabbi, from Moshe, their mentor. And Moshe Rabbeinu actually expresses this to his brother Aharon after they died. Moshe Aharon, who diber Hashem lemor bikrovai ekadesh. Of this Hashem spoke, saying, "I will be sanctified through those that penei kol ha'am ekaved ba'idom Aharon. I will be honored before the entire people." Moshe Rabbeinu said to Aharon, his brother, is quoted by Rashi, the Midrash. He says, "Listen, I knew that the house would be sanctified through those people who are intimate with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But I thought it was going to be you and me. I thought," Moshe is telling this to his brother, "I thought you and I were those two people. But now I see that they were greater than you and I, Nadav and Avihu. And therefore, when HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, bichvodi, that there will be sacrificed through my honor, don't read it bichvodi. Rashi says, read it bimchubadai, through my honored ones. In other words, Nadav and Avihu. So Nadav and Avihu were on levels, some say equal to Moshe and Aharon, some say greater than Moshe and Aharon, as Moshe Rabbeinu was hinting over here. So we see that these people, they yearned to perform a mitzvah, but that mitzvah was not prescribed in the Torah. So they were punished for giving a halacha decision in front of Moshe Rabbeinu, their teacher and their mentor. And that's why Kadosh Baruch Hu says, "Bikrovai ekadesh," I'll be sanctified with those who are close to me. And in essence, yes, it's sad that they died. Of course, it's one of the reasons why Aaron maybe stayed silent. The simple reason is because he accepted all the sad news with emunah pshuta, but knowing that HaKadosh Baruch Hu takes those who are really, really close to him. But look at the amazing chiddush, says R Pinchas Friedman. He says, who dealt with the burial? Mishael and El Tzafan. Those are the ones who were commanded to go and deal with Nadav and Abihu and bury them. He says, by dealing with the burial of Nadav and Abihu, Mishael and El Tzafan were infected by their kedusha. And because of that, they yearned to perform a mitzvah of their own, the mitzvah of Korban Pesach. Even though they were technically exempt from doing the mitzvah because they were tameh, right? They were tameh, or they were, again, a person that's on a distant road, they were exempt. But they were infected with this corpse tumah of Nadav Avihu, who also wanted to do something and yearned to perform a mitzvah. The difference is that they learned from the mistake of Nadav and Avihu. And they were careful not to perform the mitzvah until they heard it from Moshe, their teacher. And they went to Moshe Rabbeinu to say, hey, why? It's not fair. Why can't we perform Korban Pesach? Moshe says, wait over here, let me go ask God. And then they got the permission, and then they were able to do it. And in fact, there's this concept actually exists in other places. The Gemara tells us in Masechet Chulin, Zayin Amud Bet, Gedolim tzadikim b'mitatan yoter mibechayehem. That the tzadikim are greater after they die than when they are alive. Shneimar, what's the proof? They bring a proof from Sefer Melachim. Vayhi hem kovrim ish ve'inei ra'u et hagedut. They were burying a man. People of the town were burying a man. This man was a rasha, but they were burying him. And then they saw the legion, the army, so they got scared. Vayashlichu et ha'ish. So they threw him down into one of the crypts. Happens to be Bekever Elisha, in the kever of Elisha Navi. Elisha Navi was the prime student of Eliyahu Navi. In the same grave of Elisha. Vayelech vayigah ha'ish be'atzmot Elisha. Pasuk says this man being tossed, dead, being tossed into the grave of Elisha. He touched the bones of Elisha. Vaychi vayakom al raglav. He came to life and stood on his feet. So Rashi says this man was a rasha, and he was unfit to be buried with tzaddikim. You're not going to be buried with Elisha Navi if you're a rasha. But when his corpse came in contact with Elisha's bones, Tehiyat HaMetim. So now, this is not the first time Elisha does Tehiyat HaMetim. We read one of the haftarot of the during the year. We read the story when Elisha revived the son of the Shunamite, okay, who was dead. But when he was alive, he actually had to use physical touch to do so. He had to place his mouth on the boy's mouth. He had to put his eyes on the boy's eyes. He had to pray for the Hamim. But yet, in this situation, Elisha's dead. And the guy's dead. The guy touches the bones of the dead, the skin of the dead guy touches the bones of Elisha and comes back to life. So we see tzadikim dolim b'mitatan yoter b'chayehem. When Elisha was alive, he had to use physical force to survive the kid. When he was dead, and he was just touching him, and he was able to revive the person. So it's not too far-fetched to suggest that the same was true with Nadav and Abihu. While alive, they offered an esh zara, an alien fire without prior authorization from Moshe Rabbeinu. And then they died when their beings were consumed by the strands of fire that came from Hashem. And they received an atonement. That was their atonement. That was their kapara. So when Mishael and Tzafan buried them, Nadav and Abihu, on one hand, they're infected with their kedusha. And with that is this fervent desire to offer a mitzvah, to perform a mitzvah, the Korban Pesach, even though they were exempt from doing so. And on the other hand, they were also influenced not to perform a mitzvah without receiving prior authorization from Moshe, as Nadav and Abihu did. So in death, Nadav and Abihu were greater than they were alive. And in the merit of their intense yearning to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu, a new mitzvah was introduced, the mitzvah of Pesach. Incredible chidush. Then he goes on to explain why did Moshe Rabbeinu specifically choose Mishael and El Tzafan to perform this deed. Mishael and Tzafan were the son of Uziel. The pasuk says, "Vaikam Moshe Mishael v'Tzafan bnei Uziel dod Aaron." You're the ones, go approach the Kodesh and take out your brothers from the sanctuary of the camp. Now, who was Uziel? Uziel was the fourth son of Kehat. Kehat was Levi's son. Kehat was Moshe's grandfather. Kehat had four sons. Amram, who was Moshe's father. Yitzhar, who was Korah's father. Hebron, and Uziel. So he couldn't choose Elazar and Itamar because they're Kohanim. You can't choose two Kohanim to take out to be metameh with the corpse of Nadav and Abihu. But why didn't Moshe Rabbeinu choose someone from the family of Yitzhar or the family of Hebron who were older than Uziel? Uziel was the youngest of the brothers. Why did he skip over the families of the older sons of Kehat? So maybe we can say that Moshe Rabbeinu, through Ruach HaKodesh, felt that Mishael and Tzalfan were the most suitable individuals to rectify those neshamot of Nadav and Abihu who made that mistake, who rendered the decision in front of the rabbi without first obtaining permission. Moshe Rabbeinu cleverly instructed Mishael and Tzafan to deal with the death of Nadav and Abihu, and in that process, they were infected with that kedusha of Nadav and Abihu just by touching their bodies, just by dealing with their bodies, and that in turn caused them to yearn for this mitzvah, even though they were halachically exempt from doing so. Now, Mishael and Tzafan were already, affected by Nadav and Abihu, even though Nadav and Abihu were already atoned for their sin. And like we said, tzaddikim are greater in death than they are during their life. So even though Mishael and Tzafan did not make the mistake of rendering the decision before asking the rabbi, this came as a result of what they did. They went to Moshe Rabbeinu to seek advice. They went to Moshe Rabbeinu to seek instruction, what to do. They wanted to know, how can I fulfill this mitzvah of Korban Pesach, even though they were not obligated to do so. And in the merit of that desire, a new mitzvah came, the mitzvah of Korban Pesach. Kirvu seut achechem. Carry your brothers, meaning carry them and uplift them to rectify them. That's why Moshe Rabbeinu told them that. Use Nadav and Abihu's innate kedusha to develop something, to create something new. The mitzvah of Korban Pesach. So, what is the important lesson for us? Now that we learned and try to comprehend this idea, what are we supposed to learn from this incident? On Shabbat in the Amidah we say, "V'ten chelkenu betoratach." Give us our portion in your Torah. And the rabbis want to tell us that every Jew has his own specific, unique portion to the Torah. The Chida, Chaim Yosef David Azulai, in his commentary on Pirkei Avot, he writes something fascinating. Mishnah Pirkei Avot says, in third parak, Kol ha-shocheach davar echad b'mishnato, anyone who forgets a single item of his Torah, ma'aleh alav ha'katuv keilu mitchayev b'nafsho, is as if he's guilty of death. That's what it says. Very strong statement. Very strong statement. Mishnah. A lot of people don't like reading that Mishnah because we all forget things. So look what the Chida says. I'm going to read it. Efshar lomar. This is how we can probably explain this. Every Jew received their unique portion of Torah on Har Sinai. If he is a person who is worthy and he is God-fearing, he will reveal to the light, to the world, the chidush that he himself received on Har Sinai. Nobody else can say that novelty except for you, because only you heard that chidush on Har Sinai. And if you went and taught this, and you were zocheh to reveal it, Asher kibla nishmato, that your neshama revealed it. Ve'achar kach shachuach me'ikara, and then you forget it. Zura'a chola. It's very ominous. That's bad news. That's not good. Shachidush hahu en chacham acher yachol lechadesh. Don't you understand? The chidush that is meant for David Kadosh, not even the Baba Sali can come up with that chidush. That's what we're saying over here. And who am I? And that applies to every person. Vezeu she'amar kol hashocher davar mishnato daika. Specifically, anyone who forgets mi mishnato, his mishnah, his learning, his what he got on Har Sinai. Me'ashayach l'shorach nishmato u'shrechacho mitchayev benafsho. What are you here for? What is your purpose? If you can't reveal that to everybody, everybody's waiting. And that's why it's so crucial. And the Chidah says in other places, those of the later generations are able to be mechadesh what even the earlier people couldn't do. That's why we have so many sefarim today. You know, look at all the books, the Hebrew books that there are. Are they greater than Rashi and Tosfot? No, of course not. They're not greater than the Rishonim, the Rambam, the Ramban. But they were able to be mechadesh something that the Rashi could never do. If Rashi was alive today and he would read a chidush from a book that's out of thing, he would say, wow, Chazak Baruch, I never thought of that. How many times do we think? So in every single generation, the Torah chidushim are revealed that have never been revealed until then. And that was the decree of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that these novel interpretations of the Torah need to be revealed specifically by the Torah scholars of that generation. And they could not be revealed any earlier, even by earlier scholars. So maybe now we can comprehend the lesson of what we just said. Just like the new mitzvah of Pesach Sheni was revealed at that time in the merit of Mishael and the Tzafan's burning desire to offer the Korban Pesach, even though they were exempt from doing so. So too, in every generation, we have the obligation to attain the crown of Torah, which demands a similar burning desire to learn it and to achieve it and to acquire it. A Jew must learn with all his heart to attain that knowledge and that wisdom of the Torah. I titled the shiur, "Searching for it like a treasure." This is actually a line from Mishlei. Shlomo HaMelech writes, "Im tevakshena kakasef v'chamat monim techapsena, az tavi nirat Hashem, v'da'at Elohim timatzeh." If you seek it, referring to Torah, if you seek it as you seek money, you search for it like hidden treasures, then you'll understand the fear of God and discover the knowledge of God. And the Midrash quote on this pasuk quotes Rish Lakish: "Im en adam holech achar divrei Torah." If a person does not pursue and yearn for the words of Torah, hem enam ba'im acharav. I got news for you: the Torah is not going to follow you. The Torah is not going to chase after you. That's what Rabbi Neorai says also. Have golel imkom Torah. Be exiled to a place of Torah. And if a person searches it for them, that's when it will be merit to get wisdom and understanding. That's why it was said, discover the meaning of God. We all heard the line. It's not my line. It's the line of Masechet Megillah. If a man tells you, Yagati velo matzati, person tells you, I tried so hard and I couldn't find, lo al tamen, don't believe him. And if he says lo yagati umatzati, and if he says I didn't try but I found the Torah, al tamen, don't believe him. Yagati umatzati, tamen. A person says I worked hard, I yearned, I wanted it, I desired it, and I found it, that's when you believe it. One cannot achieve Torah knowledge without exertion. So by exerting oneself in the study of the Torah, one reveals a true desire to attain the Torah. The words of Torah are mitkayem with a person. Torah can only exist in someone who's willing to sacrifice himself on its behalf. But what if we actually see a very clear remiss of this in something that just happened in our Jewish calendar? Maybe we can begin to understand why Hashem commanded us to count the 49 days of Sfirat HaOmer prior to receiving the Torah on the holiday of Shavuot. You shall count from the day after, tomorrow, the rest day, 7 weeks, 7 full weeks. Tisperu chamishim yom. You will count 50 days, and you shall offer a new meal offering to Hashem. Says Sefer HaRokeach. Tisperu chamishim yom. Why 50 days? He says, why 50 days? Kinun sha'are binahem. Because there are 50 gates of comprehension. There are 50 gates of understanding. Mem tet yamim monim. And therefore, we count 49 days. Keneged mem tet sha'arim shemasar HaKadosh Baruch Hu Moshe. Because God gave Moses only 49 of those gates. And therefore, monim ad nun yamim. We count up until 50. Mem tet monim tachbesena. And like the 49 you count, you shall search for it. So the Gemara tells in Rosh Hashanah there were 50 gates of wisdom, 50 gates of understanding. Kulan nidnu leMoshe. All of them were given to Moshe chaser echad, except for one. Shneimar v'techasereu me'at me'elokim. Rabbi Amer says in Teilim, I just held back a little bit. There's all a little bit lacking. I got 49. I'm missing one. So says that Rokeach. That's why lekach monim ad nun yamim. We count until 50. Vechamem tet monim tachbesena. Look what he says. Vechamem tet, like the 49, we count tachbesena. Where is that from? That's from the pasuk of Mishlei. Im tervakshena kachasef vechamat monim. The word vechamat monim, like hidden treasures, can be split to be read vecha, like mem tet 49 monim that we count. The hidden treasures. You see an allusion to the 49 days of Sefirat HaOmer that we count prior to Shavuot. Im tevakshena kakasef v'chavim mesena. Says the Ran, v'sha'ah she'amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu, v'sha'ah she'amar lahem Moshe le'iseh b'Mitzrayim. When Moshe told the Jewish people in Egypt, ta'avdun et Elohim al har hazeh, that you shall serve God on this mountain. You're going to come back to this mountain on Har Sinai. Amru lo ematai avodazu. They told him, when are we going to have this avodah? When are we going to serve God? Amar lahem lesop 50 yom. Moshe said, in 50 days. Vehayu monim kol echad ve'echad le'atzmo. And that's at that moment, when Moshe said 50 days, everyone started counting for themselves. Mikan kavu chachamim l'sfirat ha'omer. And that's when, this is the words of the Ran, that's when the Chachamim established the mitzvah nowadays to still count 50 days of 49 days, 50 days of Sefirat HaOmer to look forward to the Torah. As we said, the Torah incorporates the 49 levels of Binah that were revealed to Moshe Rabbeinu. And he passed them all to Bnei Israel, to each individual, according to his capabilities, because every individual in Har Sinai received their own Torah, their own unique Torah. That's something that they were able to teach and to be mechadesh to the world. And that's dependent on their desire and their learning. So Moshe Rabbeinu informed Bnei Israel that they were destined to receive the Torah. Their yearning began. They started counting 50 days. And as a reward for that yearning, they are privileged to have the 49 levels of Binah to reveal to them, corresponding to the 49 days of the Omer. And guess what? We repeat this concept every single year, annually, in anticipation of Matan Torah. 49 days are counted to express our cheshek, our yearning to receive the 49 levels of Shavuot. And that is the connection between the simple reading of the Pasuk and its allusion. Understood simply, the Pasuk is telling us that it's impossible to attain the knowledge and wisdom unless one searches it and yearns for it, as he would for silver, as he would for hidden treasures of gold. And the allusion, Bechat monim techapsena, we count 49 days of the Omer to express our desire to do so. And hence, Rabotai, this is a very big lesson, I believe, as we've mentioned a few times before, the importance of wanting something bad. When you want something, you get it. Where a person wants to go, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to direct him there. He's going to make sure he gets there. Mishael and Tzafan had every right to just let this one pass. He had every right to just tell, you know what? We missed it. We were doing a mitzvah. They were going to say, we were doing a mitzvah. We were dealing with Nadav and Avihu. It's not like we were playing video games. We weren't on the golf course. We were doing a mitzvah, the biggest mitzvah. Chesed Shel Emet, dealing with two dead holy individuals. They could have easily said, we don't need this. Oh, we miss it. No, they went back to Moshe. Moshe, we can't. Lama nigara. Why should we lose out? Why should we be detracted from the opportunity to do a mitzvah? There's no greater service of Hashem than to perform one of his mitzvot. Mishael and Tzafan, we're not ready to let that go. And that yearning and that desire that they showed us is the reason why we got this mitzvah, which is a chidush altogether, because it's based on the commentary. It wouldn't have been this mitzvah. Maybe it would have been another mitzvah, but it wouldn't have been. And through that yearning, we have to learn from that when it comes to our own Torah and our own personal Torah, that we're going to announce to the world and reveal to the world and our own chidushim and whatever we wish to attain of the 49 levels of Binah, hopefully all of it needs to come with a lot of work, needs to come with a lot of effort, needs to come with a lot of yearning and desire. And B'ezrat Hashem, through that, we will zochet to that and much, much more. So I'm wishing everyone a wonderful night.